How long they've been here? Ever since they took it from the Indians, they've been here. They was the first settlers. That's exactly what you were going to meet. You were going to meet a little bit of everything.
When you settle in the pine woods down by the Jersey Shore, you're gonna have the hard times knocking at your door. When you find yourself a garden against the time of year, you're gonna be mighty lucky if you ever raise your seed. So folks, I'm gonna tell you, it'd be great to settle here. You needn't bring your city clothes along. For what are you tearing your head through to make your daily friends? It's 10 to 1, it's gonna turn out wrong. Now if you go and dig some clams to sell when you reach shore, you'll find out that the people just don't eat clams no more. But when the season changes and clams just can't be found, you'll find a buyer waiting each time you turn around. Oh, the deer eat up your garden and the clams you cannot sell. Your luck just turns a little worse each day. But you gotta stay and take it until the bitter end, for you haven't got the means to get away. So folks, in spite of all of this, there's something about these woods that you will feel if here you ever roam. And when you see our sunsets and breathe this balmy air, you'll never want to leave your Jersey home. There you go.
If you were to draw a line from Boston to Richmond, straight line, right through the spine of the eastern megalopolis, and then you were to measure halfway down that line, exactly halfway, you would be standing right here. This is the epicenter of the megalopolis. I got interested in the Pines really for professional reasons. I'm a writer, and I live in New Jersey. I was born in Princeton, but nobody in Princeton much when I grew up knew about the Pine Barrens, I don't think. Not too many people. I didn't know what the Pine Barrens were. Most people think of it as a place that they go through on the way down ashore, as they say, and so did I. What interested me was the fact that so much open land existed in the middle of the megalopolis, in the middle of the most densely populated state in the Union. You understand that the Pine Barrens are 25% of this state. These are very self-sufficient people in here, very independent, very content with their way of life. They go out of here and they come back here because they don't like the outside world. They don't like what they see or experience out there, some of them, many of them. And they have a sense of uniqueness in a way that they're very much aware of. They call each other Pineys, and that's all right. You call them a Piney, and that's not all right.
Why, you'd be a Piney just as soon as you moved in there and got the sand in your shoes. What'd be the difference? You'd still be, we call everybody Piney in the Pine. That's just a byword.
Oh, I've lived here off and on. You see, this was a wilderness. Well, back when I was a boy, this woods was full of wild pigs and wild steers and cows and everything. And they breeded out in these woods, and they lived on the acorns, the pigs. And in the summer, where this cranberry bog is, all the way up along there, that was a slough. And that's where the pigs used to come, and days like this, they was there by the hundreds. That's where they come and laid and wallered around there, and they named it Hogwaller. That's how it got its name, Hogwaller. They was all owned by people, as far as that goes, practically. There was some really wild, you know, that nobody owned. Now this, what I'm telling you, is not a bird song. What I'm telling you is the truth. Back in them days, you didn't steal. If you stole, you didn't stay. If you lasted 6 months, you was a damn good man. 6 months was the limit to a man that stole your pig or killed your steer. He died. He didn't live. That's right. That's right. Back in them old days, there ain't no marks there, but I know where he was. I know where he was buried. And I know the men that buried him.
You know, years ago, a lot of people made their living right from the area. You know, they gathered the moss and they gathered the pine cones or blueberry, wild blueberry, well, huckleberries then. They call the ones that grow wild, they call them huckleberries. You know, a lot of people made their living from the woods and from the area around them. And, of course, now there aren't too many left that do that.
Henry Webb, he clears up pieces of ground and he saws wood. Well, he's the one I bought, I don't know how many loads of wood off of him, yeah. He's a nice man. Webb is a nice man. And he's a smart man, too.
But he makes his living from doing the various things all year round. He would be good to talk to.
You'd be just surprised the stuff that grows in the wood that you could make money on. It's just about, I'd say, at least 150 different kind of stuff grows in these woods that you could sell. I switch around, and that gives me a break. You know, it don't get so monotony. In June, I cut cattails, see, but then in the evenings, I'm mucking around my wood. It's all piecework. I mean, you can do, now, oak leaves, you can go out and cut pin oak and make good money. They pay you about a ton on that. Well, I always lived in the country down home there where I always worked on farms and stuff like that. I done a little bit of everything, pick cotton, gather oranges. Right around here, I enjoy it here.
I bet you wouldn't know how to live off the land anywhere you went. A lot of people wouldn't know how to do that. Of course, a lot of people wouldn't want to do the kind of hard work we do either.
Well, that's what's the matter with this world today. They educate them in the wrong way. The educating makes people ignorant. You know, they get so much education till they plumb ignorant because they think with the education they can't work. That's wrong. They should educate them to work whether they got education or not. You got to do what you can find to do till you can do better. Now me, I don't have no education. I can't hardly read or write. So it's hard for me to go out and get a job. I can go out there and work right along with anybody as far as physical work. This time of year, I'm knocking berries. If I'm working in a factory, they give you so many hours to work. That's it. You just make so much. They pay you so much an hour. So, and then you got to get up early in the morning and all that stuff. You got to go rain or shine here. I just work when I feel like it. If I need an extra few dollars, I just work a little harder and make it work a little longer. Okay. Yeah, well, you know what I figure about working? What I get done today, I get done. If I don't get it done today, tomorrow's another day. I might not be here tomorrow to even get that done. So what's the use to worry about it? I just live and enjoy my life as I go along with it.
Henry Webb. He's a hard worker. He's a nice guy.
The day of the hand picker is almost over. And it's either mechanize or get out of the blueberry business. Look at it. You can see there's very little left. Here you've got a couple of clusters, but it's cleaner than the pickers would do it. Generally, what I do is go around the property just to see what's happening. You know, go around, visit, look at the different bogs, and check the water levels, and just see how they're progressing, and making sure that everybody's on the ball.
My husband was born and raised here, and we just wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. He prefers to be here. I mean, it's just in his blood, I guess. There's an old saying, they say you get the sand of the pines in your shoes, you can't get it out, you know, so we want to stay. We've traveled in the 48 states, and we like them. We have our favorites, you know, the different states, the different parts of the states, but we're always glad to get back home. We're always glad to get back here. I teach school, by the way, down here. I never taught in any other school. I've just taught here because I prefer to stay here. There's a certain amount of reward in doing it in your own community because you see them go on. And now I'm also getting some of the children from the ones I had before. So this is a wonderful experience. There's so many things that are unique to the pines here, things that grow here, like the little flowers. Maybe most people wouldn't even notice them. They look like a weed to them. And they're unique to this particular area. You wouldn't find them anywhere else. We have a lot of rain, like we had, you know, there a couple weeks ago. It disappears in no time, and I mean, it's like a sponge.
The soil is sand. It's complimentary to call it soil. And it has these pitch pines and oak forest, all kinds of oaks, and a couple kinds of pines, and Atlantic white cedar. I mean, these are the things that describe it in its natural state.
The only reason these pine lands exist the way they are now is because few people have control of a large part of this area, and they haven't wanted to sell it. If a couple of landowners sold the heart of this would be done now.
Who's the other hand? Well, that was my father. He's deceased now. Me and my uncle were partners originally. Well, my grandfather was down here first. Back in around 1890, I guess he came down. Watch yourself.
See, we use a terrific amount of water in raising cranberries. We use it, the bogs are flooded in the wintertime. We use it for frost protection. And we also flood them to harvest in the fall. So we need a lot of water. water here, right in the streams, is still potable, and we don't hesitate to drink it at all. And in our business, it's pretty much mandatory to maintain a good, clean water supply.
Did you ever live in the city?
Mm-mm. This is a hard place to get to other than by canoe. You see what civilization does? That's just when people climb up this hill from canoes. That's only the last couple of years that's been eroding. Somebody cut that tree at the base, and why in the world they did that, I don't know. There are a lot of nice spots like this in the woods. You ever been down at where old Martha Pond used to be down there, Martha Furnace?
Martha. Perhaps 4 generations of people lived here over a span of 100 years or 120 years or whatever. And the people who lived here all planted catalpa trees in their yards. And these catalpa trees are the only evidence that people ever lived here.
I remember when there was 3 houses to Martha. Ed Gunner and his mother, Katie Gunner. I eat pie in her place. I eat pumpkin pie in her place when I was a little boy. You know, when you go back 85 years, you'd be surprised the things that'll happen in 85 years. You just wait till you get old, and you'll see things that you wouldn't never believe.
There's one cemetery that I'll show you that it's an old one. All they got for markers is old fat pine. Fat pine is something that never rots. That's the heart of a pine tree. Never rots.
Boy, this was a regular town, a nice town. Pretty houses and everything. Oh, a good many towns come and went like that. Leak Town down this side of New Gretna, oh, a number of places. Martha come and went like it. Oh, they were bootleggers. They sold whiskey, illegal. Now, that's handed down to me from my ancestors because they bought the whiskey there and got drunk there. And they used to get drunk there, lots of them. When they'd get their pay, they'd go there and get drunk, and that's where the women would go and find them, you know. Yeah.
A man named Caleb Earl, who lived here in Martha, kept a diary, kept a record with extremely short entries, and it is the only record of life in a Pine Barrens town. January 4, 1809. Frost stopped furnace wheels several times. January 7, 1809. Ore teams hauled hay. Blew the furnace out at 8 o'clock p.m. All hands drunk. April 20, 1809. At 25 minutes past 2 o'clock p.m., put the furnace in blast. Delaney and Cox, fillers. Hedger putting in the ore. Donahoe, banksman. September 17, 1812. Jane Hamilton was this day tried by the synod of her church. The crime alleged against her was for using spiritual liquor, but acquitted. August 23, 1814. Has a great fire in the pines. November 14, 1814. The dam broke this morning. All the ore raisers at work at it. February 24, 1815. This day we had news of peace confirmed. Teams all standing still, snowing and raining.
I've heard my husband speak about when his mother lived, when she was a young woman. They used to all get together and have their square dances. You have like what they call a hoedown. They'd get together, you know, just have a good old time.
You go every Saturday night. Some of the richest kind of people come there, and some of the poorest kind of people come there. And everybody is just as nice as they can be. You never see nicer people in your life.
that there is pine down here, and they call this the Pine Barrens. What keeps, this is actually an oak hickory area, but the repeated fires keep pine here. So that if you didn't have any fire down here, this area within the next, say, 100 years or so would revert to an oak hickory area. Amazing. I work for the Bureau of Parks, and I'm a regional supervisor for them. I have 5 state forests. We have charge of the land. We have a great deal to do with fire control, just the whole recreational complex. What we're doing is reflooding the old bogs, which gives us a reservoir in which our fire trucks can pull right out in the dams and fill up, even in dry times. You're parked on top of one of our problems. There's a campfire under, or what, you know, the remains of one. You see the picnic plates and everything? Remember somebody come in here and had an illegal fire, you know, in the middle of a dam, and then just threw everything all over the place.
They're from some recreational group, and they're out on this canoeing trip. It's unique, isn't it?
The things that are vulnerable here now are this really extraordinary amount of open space that exists in the middle of Megalopolis, the fantastic natural reservoir of water that exists beneath it.
These big guys come down from up in New York and Philadelphia, the place, and bought thousands of acres of pine lands. Well, up until last year, there was still a possible hope of the jet port going in, which would be just north of New Gretna.
So they were going to put a jet port in there?
Right, yep.
Oh, my God.
Big jet port. And that fell through, so now they had all this land, you know, that they bought up that they can't use for the jet port, so they turned to putting in developments.
There's been talk for a couple of 100 years about various developments here, few or none of which have been built. But with the rising pressure of population, something is going to happen here.
They always come in and tell you, you need this, and you need a planned development in here like this. And they bring in the ecology bit and all that stuff, you know. But once they get their toehold in there, then anything goes, because I've seen projects like that before. You go down to the other Mystic Island and look at that mess down there they got. All of their lagoons, I remember years ago that the water was nice and clear. Now look at it, you can't see nothing into it. Just nothing but junk, crap.
There's 30 times as much water underneath us right now as there is in all the reservoirs of New York City filled to capacity. 30 times as much, and it's pure water. And if we crap in it, there's no more, the water isn't there anymore, right? And if you put an industry on top of this, the pollutants from the industry go right down into this sand and they destroy all that pure water. And in this sand, the pollutants travel quickly and they travel far.
Maybe I'm just an old piney, I don't know. I like to get out in the sticks where it's quiet, you know, where there's nobody bothering you. There's no people and pollution and garbage and stuff.
But I don't think you can say that they live down there and they're happy, so we shouldn't trammel over them because there's only 15 of them per square mile. Whereas up here in Union County, where we have 44,000 people per square mile, and they're unhappy, you know, but tough on you. You can't go to the Pine Barrens. You just can't stand up with a flintlock rifle and fire a ball at anyone who wants to change the country since 1800 or something.
Well, they must have had him tied up first and then shot him.
I've never seen none of these turtle up here. That's the sea turtle.
That's saltwater turtle.
Yeah, right. Yep. That is really...
Why would somebody do something like that?
I don't know. They're mostly a harmless creature. Nobody has been bitten by them or anything that I know of. I've never seen them up here. Apparently that's been caught out in the ocean or somewhere and brought up here. Or out in the bay somewhere. It's a shame though. You can see the rope around his head and the darn hole in his neck. Somebody shot it. There's a creature that don't bother nobody.
You cannot freeze time, you can't freeze history, but you can have planning, and of course planning for the future needs of the society is what is sorely needed here. Meanwhile, what's happening is that these pine barrens are being eaten up from around the edges all the way until there'll be nothing left at all.
After living here for 6 generations, I hate to see what they had built up be torn down. It looks like we're being pushed out just like the Indians was pushed out. Pushed out inch by inch.
My husband was born and raised here, and we just wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. It's utopia, it really is. I mean...
My family's been here since the late 1800s, and I've been here ever since I've been out of school, and in summers before, too.
Well, I've always lived in the country most of my time, except when I went to the city a couple of times. I really like it. Of course, you don't have all the street lights and everything like you do in the city, but who wants them? I don't. I want privacy. Instead of be bothering with a boss to aggravate me, tell me what I got to do and what I can't do, I'd rather work out in these woods here.
It's the most peaceful place in the world right here. And I hope that none of this building and airports and that kind of stuff ever get in here, because people are going to miss it if it do.
You want to come here in the spring when you see the laurel through the woods. Pretty, I'm telling you.
In the winter, it's nice when the leaves start turning. You should be here when the leaves start turning around here. Beautiful, especially along the Malaga River. It's beautiful here.
Of course, all of us that are natives here that love this type of life, we don't want to see it disappear. We don't want to see it go.
Shouldn't happen. Not for me, I'll be dead. But I think for the younger generation, this is the last playground left in the state of New Jersey. There's nothing left. You'll be around, but we will be around. But for the children, it'd be a crime to do away with it.
And hundreds and hundreds of square miles of undeveloped land here. It's wild land. And it's in the eye of the megalopolis. Now, what's going to happen to it?